all-new 2020 starts right now.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday with our temperature today, a high of about 78.
The morning of October 2nd, 2020, we were at a diner here in Carrollton having a little meeting breakfast with our sergeants.
This was on a Friday, so that was one of my regular days off. I occasionally will work off-duty jobs. I happened to be working at a bank that morning.
I had my very first mammogram ever that morning. You have to put everything in a locker and lock your things up.
It was during that meeting that we got a radio that there was a shooting at the Green Tree Apartments.
In Carrollton, Texas. I was just down the street from Green Tree to get a call from my sergeant. He asked me to come help.
My phone went off. It was a Facebook notification, and the exact words were, "Is it true? I just heard about Alyssa. What happened?"
911, what is the address of the emergency?
It's 1120 MacArthur Drive. I need an ambulance immediately.
Okay, I'm going to get some help headed that way. Now tell me exactly what happened.
Someone came up and just shot my assistant manager. I need someone here immediately.
Don't touch anything, okay? This is an active crime scene, okay?
Who all's in here?
Just me and my coworker. We were just getting our day started.
Okay.
I came in at 9 o'clock. I was in the computer working, and then Tony comes in around 9:06. When suddenly we heard like a car like really close to the parking lot.
And we're like, what the hell is he parking like that?
And then we just heard a booming sound.
I'm right here in the sprayer. Okay. The water.
You were watering the plants.
Yeah.
And then what? ¿Y luego qué viste?
Vi que llegó un carro y atrás del carro llegó otro más carro, ¿verdad? La muchacha iba a salir, pero no pudo salir porque él llegó y pum, pum.
This is a crime scene now. We gotta tape it off.
And cuando the chop, the chop, and I say, hey, looking with what happened.
Did you hear one shot?
Only one shot, okay. Yeah.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Okay, how old is she?
She's 24 years old.
Do you know who she is?
Yes, she's my assistant manager.
Okay.
It's the first day.
Growing up, she was very headstrong, but she also had like the heart of gold. We had our times, right? Like mothers and daughters do, but I can say she's the one who, anytime I needed anything, she was there.
I am Alyssa's sister. We're 6 years apart, I believe. She was always the cooler, older sister that I always looked up to. For my 18th birthday, my mother did this huge party, and she actually got Alyssa to make a video.
Hey Taylor, happy birthday, 18. Now that you're getting into adulthood, we're gonna become best friends and we're gonna make lots of new memories.
We can do everything together now that you're older, and so that was like really awesome for me at that time.
Me and Alyssa became friends in the 6th grade. I was kind of getting bullied, and she asked me to ride the bus home with her, and we were inseparable ever since. She's always been like a mama bird, and she was bold and strong and had to teach me kind of how to stand on my 2 feet. She gave me my braveness. There was not a room that she could walk in that her presence wouldn't be known.
Whenever she got pregnant, it was very out of the blue. She was very scared, but determined she was going to go through with it.
As soon as her baby came, she was all mom mode.
I think that the most beautiful part of Alyssa's life was when she became a mother to Willow.
We support her for changing her whole lifestyle for that kid.
You have this beautiful 24-year-old mom who is trying to make a life and just was one of the absolute best moms.
Shortly before 9 a.m. on October 2nd, Alyssa Burkett pulled into the parking lot of the Green Tree Apartments where she worked as an assistant office manager. She was likely sitting in her car when an assailant dressed in all black approached her car from the driver's side.
The assailant, he pulled right here, and he got out, and he shot her through the driver's side window. And he got back in, started to back out, thinking that he had done his job.
I heard that pop. I turned around, I knew it was a gunshot.
Okay.
So I was like, so I turn around, I peeked out the window, I see a Ford Explorer. It's like a black, navy blue, something like that.
There is a video that is inside that shows the leasing office, and it shows the two coworkers that were here.
We dig down, me and Tony, we got down, and then we ran to the other window to take a close look of the truck. And I noticed it was a black one. And he was dressed everything in black, like everything.
The bastard came out, he was trying to pull away when I saw him. He knew that I saw him, so he tried to run off after he popped her.
Okay.
And they hear the gunshot, and then they're trying to figure out what to do.
Me and Tony, we ran. I was like, he's gonna try to do something to us. So I ran and I told him to call the cops.
He tried to go into his car, he was pulling out, but he noticed that she stepped out, so she was still trying to live.
Ella abrió la puerta y salió.
So she was shot, and then she comes out of her vehicle?
Sí.
He realized that Alyssa had gotten out. She was fighting to get into the leasing office where she knew her coworkers were. He stops, sees her, comes back, runs out with a knife.
The suspect got out of his vehicle, followed her up here along this path.
Drops the sheath over here on the sidewalk, and then catches up to her on the stoop of the leasing office, where he proceeded to stab her multiple times.
Hey guys, I'm gonna start taping stuff off. Did you see him holding the knife?
Yeah, in the hand.
You saw him holding the knife?
Yeah.
Okay.
We couldn't help her, obviously.
Yeah.
He's strapped. What the hell am I gonna do?
Okay.
So then I wanted to call the police.
Where is the shooter?
He's gone. He left in his car.
Okay, how long ago did he leave?
He literally left a second ago.
Okay, what did he leave in a vehicle?
Yes, he left in a vehicle.
What's the color and type of vehicle? Do you know?
It's just a black tornado one. I didn't get a good look at it.
Was she shot in the chest or in her arm?
I can't tell. There's blood all over the place.
How badly was she wounded?
Ella estaba bien herida, bastante sangraba ella.
A lot of blood.
Mucha, sí. Solo se veía que respiraba.
She was still breathing.
Is she still conscious or has she gone completely unconscious at this point?
She looks unconscious, but she's fighting.
As I'm coming back out to get my things, my phone is just ringing non-stop. And I'm like, what is going on? It was my supervisor calling. She's like, I'm calling about Alyssa and you need to go to Green Tree.
According to the witnesses, nobody actually saw it happen. They just heard the pop.
It was just call after call after call. I got a phone call. It was my friend, and all she said was he stabbed her. I said, who?
What's going on?
And then I remember her saying she was shot.
You went that way?
It was really just a scramble of trying to figure out what happened and who did it.
On October 2nd, unfortunately, it is a day that I replay a lot. The whole world was spinning. I felt my heart break that day.
I remember pulling up. I see all of the lights, the ambulance, the police. And I remember asking, she didn't make it, did she? And he was like, no, she didn't. And then I remember just losing it from that point on.
Oh my God.
I just didn't want it to be true that Alyssa had died and that they didn't know where Willow was.
We're in the parking lot of the Green Tree Apartments. This is where we were for the murder investigation of Alyssa Burkett. When I arrived, it was the most brutal scene I think I'd ever been to. You could just see the rage and the hate that was in the killer's mind and heart.
Don't touch anything. This is an active crime scene.
We knew we had a lot of evidence. We had Alyssa's car. That was a crime scene in and of itself. We also collected the knife sheath that was here on the sidewalk.
Piece of a knife laying over here in front of the car.
That the suspect had dropped.
We heard a pop.
We want to talk to everybody that's on scene.
Y'all come with me, please? Were you here when everything happened?
Yes. All the witnesses had very similar descriptions.
He come out right there and he was a kid in the car, black car. Like an SUV car?
Black SUV backed up and stopped.
The one consistent thing that I remember is them describing him as an African-American male with a beard.
It wasn't look like a black guy.
I see the face, black guy.
Alyssa had this feeling that someone was watching her. After Alyssa's murdered and the police are examining her car, they find a tracker.
It seemed like there was something else that we were missing pretty early on, and we were. It's kind of murder 101. I mean, you always start with the closest circle to that victim, then you work out.
Alyssa had told me that she had met someone, they had been dating a little bit. When we met, I just thought, oh, okay, he seems like he's this nice guy, and okay, we're good to go.
Alyssa and Andrew met online in 2018. He was 10 years older than her. And he told me on the phone that at the time they met, he was well established. He owned his own house, he had a great job selling power tools, and he even owned his own airplane.
She seemed like a very caring, funny, loving person.
Andrew wanted eventually to settle down and have children. He was this warm, giving, loving man that put others first.
I knew that she was seeing someone, and it wasn't like anything serious. And then she, found out that she was pregnant with Willow.
I just asked her straight up, okay, well, do you want to go look at a place and move in? And she looked like she was very relieved for that. Well, I said, okay, well, let's do that.
They found a beautiful home on the lake in a suburb of Dallas. He envisioned that they would raise their daughter there.
I know she felt very uncomfortable about it. I was like, well, are you going to move in there with him? And she was like, well, the deal was he was going to help her go to school and all of these things.
Everything had to be on his terms and his way, and she was just like, no, this is not the deal for me, and I don't want to do that.
Which is why she moved out 2 weeks later.
When Willow was born, he was at the hospital.
Holding Willow was probably one of the most fulfilling moments. From the beginning, we absolutely had the full understanding that we're just going to be co-parenting.
She wanted it to be fair. She wanted him to have time with Willow, a relationship with him. So that's what she agreed to.
She was always team co-parent, and if we can be civil, that's in the best interest of Willow.
After they had come to this agreement and mediation, everything was fine.
All right.
And then Holly came into the picture.
Willow, get your fishies.
That's when everything went south.
I've loved 2 women in my life, and Holly was one of them.
Holly's a big personality, exudes energy and passion.
A turtle.
Their relationship was really intense because it was COVID, and they were spending 24/7 together from the moment they met.
She was jumping into almost like a stepmother role, it seemed like, right off the bat.
Andrew and Holly met with Alyssa and her guy, and it was all very amiable and very, gosh, we should, why wouldn't we just get along? Let's do that.
Andrew seemed to like some of the things he was hearing, but Holly didn't. She really took that as her launching point to tell Andrew, look, you got to be a man about this, almost belittling him on a routine basis.
What started off as an amicable co-parenting scenario quickly turned into a bitter custody battle.
I always tell people that Alyssa used to have a really bright light, and then all of a sudden her light was gone. Something was wrong.
I had worked a case a month before for an anonymous drug tip that involved Alyssa. The drug tip came from here at Green Tree.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
I'd like to report someone selling drugs in my apartment complex, also doing them.
The call seemed very unusual to me. This was very specific. It was Alyssa Burkett. It was marijuana. It was hand-to-hand transactions.
Where they did find drugs in the trunk of her car.
Just a box with some marijuana, a little bit of money, and a gun. Miss Burkett insisted that she had never seen that before.
Shockingly, there's no fingerprints whatsoever. The pistol, the serial number was etched out.
There was always something not right with this call.
She's scared to death at this point. It's like, what is next?
1 month after that 911 call, Alyssa would be dead.
I was there when we get word that Teresa was on scene, right? And she's in so much pain and she's so angry. She knew about the anonymous drug tip a month prior.
I knew that it was him when the drugs didn't work in the car for him to get the baby. She even said, I think he's the kind of person that's gonna try to kill me. And he did. And he did. Oh my God.
She was sitting there screaming at Andrew, and knowing that from the witnesses' accounts that it was a black male that we're looking for, in the back of my mind, it wasn't really adding up.
While police are talking to Alyssa's mother, they find out that Andrew had custody of baby Willow that day.
I want my grandbaby away from him.
You know what kind of car he drives?
He has like a white Ford truck.
Hi, brother. Something's happened. So there are people right now they would like to talk to you.
Like freaking out. What is going on?
Andrew and Holly lived together at their Flamingo address in Rowlett. So we had Rowlett PD out here to survey the house while we had our own resources and Detective John Meyer and Matt Burnham.
The call we got, they said they saw Andrew and Holly leaving and possibly had luggage with them. We happened to be pulling onto the street at the exact same time that Andrew's truck was coming head on to us. So Matt hit the lights on his truck. We were in an unmarked covert vehicle. Andrew came to a stop. We had them exit the vehicle separately.
All right, take a seat. Sit right there.
So I'll talk to you about what's going on here in 1 second. Hi, brother. Something's happened right now. That's why we're here. I can't go into details on what it is, but it's pretty significant. Okay. So there are people right now that would like to talk to you. Would you mind going for, like, I know on a tour, but mind going to the church?
I'm like freaking out. To be honest, do I need an attorney for this, or what is going on?
When the police pull over Andrew, they don't tell him that Alyssa's been murdered. And the body cams are rolling, and he doesn't seem too surprised, but also doesn't seem too edgy.
Hey, Mark, do they have the kid?
I knew that he had just gotten Willow from Alyssa, and I'm thinking she is in danger, and we need to go get her.
We all knew he had an airplane. That was like a huge concern, is that he was going to take off on that airplane and we'd never see the baby ever again.
So after we got Holly and Andrew out of the car, I observed that Willow, the daughter, was in her car seat in the back seat of the pickup. Yes, the daughter's in a car seat in the back seat.
The AC is on and everything?
Yeah, I can go double check that one.
Here's her bottle. She should be okay.
Andrew and Holly had said they'd been at the house. They were relaxing all morning.
We're just going to brunch.
Okay.
TLC on the way.
Okay.
What in the world?
Holly was overly cooperative too. I asked for consent to search her purse because she wanted some stuff out of it.
I just need my small.
Just the small?
Louis Vuitton bag.
Okay. And she was like, oh yeah, go ahead. Can we leave your passport in the truck? Is that cool? Because obviously you're not going out of the country today.
No, I just got back from Mexico a couple days ago, actually. I'm not leaving the country, so as long as I can have it back in the near.
Yeah, you'll get it back
sometime
eventually. Yeah, it's going to be in the truck. We're not taking it.
I was in Granite Bay in California, and I get a call from Holly. And she goes, Andrew and I got pulled over. And, it was horrible. They pulled guns, and I was like, what?
I'm taking your phone and her phone right now, but I will allow you to call the attorney. Take it, and then if you can leave here and just go straight to the Carrollton Police Department, and they'll advise you.
They were just trying to do everything they could to try to get them back to the PD for an interview, so that way we can get them in a room and talk to them, kind of figure out what they knew, kind of see if there's anything that would lead us down to a suspect.
We asked for consent to search the vehicle at the scene, and Andrew told us we couldn't search the truck. But we had enough developments coming from the crime scene to get a search warrant for the truck. How about going to the Rowlett Police Department?
I would rather just wait at home if my baby's safe.
You're not going in your house, right?
Okay, well, you tell me I'm not allowed in my house.
Because we're about to run a search.
We told them that they weren't allowed to go back to the house. They wanted to keep it where no one came in and no one went out.
The decision was made. He's not leaving with the truck. If he wants to go, they can go to the police department. Yeah, we'll just leave it. That's fine.
So we see Andrew and Holly leaving with Willow, carrying her in her car seat, and they go to get an Uber because they can't go home.
The order was given to us, like, hey, stay with Andrew, like, make sure that they don't throw anything out of the car. And as we're traveling, they take an exit that we weren't expecting. And it was at that point the attorney was on the phone.
And basically, so I don't know if something serious is going on, and they said that we have to go to Carrollton Police Station. If I can't, they say I can't go home.
Yes, ma'am.
Seems very confused about what's going on. Yeah, I mean, I can guess what's going on. His baby mama is mad, and she's now made some false complaints against him again.
I'll be completely honest with you. Baby mama was murdered this morning at her work.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Andrew and Holly had originally agreed to come to the police department to speak to us. And somewhere along the way, he decided he wasn't going to do that anymore.
They never went to the police station. They went to an Airbnb. They had nothing. They had no change of clothes or anything for Willow.
We knew where they were, we knew where Willow was, but we couldn't take Willow.
I feel like that was a dangerous person and they knew it at that point, and why would they have left her? Yeah, I was upset.
And our next goal now is we still have the house. So we write up a search warrant, which ultimately gets signed by a judge.
That same night, officers go inside Andrew and Holly's house.
Carrollton Police Department search warrant. If you're in there, come out with your hands up.
We probably have no less than 6 detectives there. And we go through the house room by room by room.
I got up top, clear. There's a hallway to the right there.
One of the first things that we do find was a Diamonds Direct envelope that had like a receipt for an engagement ring that I presume was for Holly. But on the back of that envelope was basically the script for the drug tip.
Written on that envelope, all the details the caller needed to make that false accusation against Alyssa.
There's Alyssa's license plates on here, the address for the green tree, and other information that was needed to make that call. So once we saw that, it was like, okay, we're on the right path.
The room that was a spare bedroom that was full of junk, had heaps of clothes on the bed, all kinds of stuff. One of us found a box for a tracker inside that room.
These are the tracker boxes and charging stations that we found in one of the bedrooms at Andrew Beard's house. These are identical to the ones that we were able to find under the cars. We didn't find the gun that we were looking for,
right?
But what we did find was what came to be a homemade silencer.
We started getting the puzzle pieces together.
After police are done searching Andrew's home, they start canvassing the area, and they find this black Ford Expedition that looks a lot like the vehicle that the killer was driving.
We all rushed over to this area, and that's when we found the black Expedition parked along the side of the road up here.
Witnesses reported seeing a black man driving away in that type of vehicle. But things aren't always what they seem.
When we searched that vehicle, that was the mother lode of evidence. Didn't find much in Holly's car, but we found a nice bunch of Easter eggs in Andrew's vehicle.
We found Willow's diaper bag. Inside were several trash bags, and in each one were boots that had been cut up and then doused with bleach.
The other things we found in that bag were these dark Java-colored makeup vials.
And inside that abandoned black SUV, they find one last piece of the puzzle.
This is the beard that we found in the vehicle. This also had DNA from Andrew as well as Alyssa on it. You can actually still see that discoloration from the makeup on the beard. I immediately thought, well, there's our African-American male. I'd never seen someone go to that length to try to paint themselves to look like another race.
I will say between the truck and the expedition and the treasure trove that was found there, it was overwhelming.
It was just small pieces of that puzzle that came together.
All along, it was Andrew in disguise, wearing dark makeup and a beard.
The ham-handedness of some of the things that they did is just so buffoonish.
The judge signed the warrant for Andrew's arrest for the murder of Alyssa Burkett. We arranged for Andrew to surrender here at the Carrollton Police Department, and he did that mid-afternoon, I think.
Hi, how you doing? And you're Andrew. Yes, sir. Come on back, buddy.
I just knew, okay, well, the police are going to get me any minute.
In my mind, this isn't real. My son would not do this. And I remember one of the female law enforcement ladies saying, "You don't know your son." And it turns out that there's a chunk in there that I couldn't possibly have known.
He thought he could beat this up until the day that he decided, I can't beat this. And I think that's why Holly came in the day or so after Andrew's arrest. She was using that opportunity to come and get what we had on Andrew.
I believe that he told you something and then told you don't tell the police that I was gone for a few hours this morning.
He did not.
We have video all over the neighborhood and all over the neighborhood to the north.
Then why can't you show me?
Because I'm not going to show you all that. Our investigation, it's our case.
Okay.
We would talk to her about her relationship with Andrew, and she's very adamant. She says, Andrew would never do this. He's not that type of person.
I don't believe Andrew is capable of murdering someone.
And I'm offering you,
I
will walk you down the road and show you the photos of why I know he's a murderer.
I don't want to see violent
Then
things.
you don't care. Then you don't care to know the truth.
I do want to know.
You don't if you're shutting this out.
It's only because I am prone to anxiety and panic attacks and things like that. So if I get in a certain frantic way, I'm just concerned about my own actual condition.
Listen.
With Holly not providing much information and police worried that Andrew might be a flight risk, they set his bail at $1 million.
So while Andrew is locked up in jail, Holly and Andrew's mom become super close. In fact, the two of them are living together at this point.
Holly and I were linked arms. We're never leaving each other's side. This is terrible, I was genuinely afraid.
So Holly is living with Andrew's mother for, a short period of time. And then she decides to pack up and go back home to Michigan.
I said, Holly, Andrew's coming here tomorrow. Don't you want to be here? And she said, my dad really needs me. She left and never came back. And that told me so much.
When Andrew bonded out, it surprised me, but it also concerned us because he's got the means and ability to get out of town if he had to.
So the police contact the FBI because when they searched Andrew's home, they found this unregistered silencer. And the FBI says, you know what? That's something that we can charge on federally.
That gave me some hope that we were going to be able to get him back into custody.
Police discovered that those GPS trackers found in Alyssa's car, technically they'd been operating across state lines. So prosecutors pursue the federal charge of cyber-stalking resulting in death and discharging a firearm.
You think, well, yeah, he put a tracker on a car, right? But did they ever leave Texas? Luckily for us, bad for them, is that the company, Spybot, was based out of Florida. And so servers and all that stuff was out of Florida.
With Andrew's case now turned over to the feds, he's rearrested on those charges, ensuring that he cannot bond out again. The state murder charge is dropped. And as for Holly Elkins, well, she's no longer the supportive fiancée.
It was a bit expected because when she was asking for money for some house project while I'm in the midst of this, that's when I realized you're not really worrying about what I got going on right now.
I spoke to Andrew Beard from behind bars. This is the first time he's speaking out about the case. Your mother supported you the whole time. When you decide to plead guilty and you had to call her. What was that conversation like?
I called my mom with the plea agreement in front of me, and I told her that, you know, I'm guilty, and I am guilty, and she didn't even comprehend that.
It seemed surreal. And he said the reason that he held out so long was because he didn't want to disappoint me. And he had such regret, and not, as you would think, regret for being caught. He had regret about doing what he did to the mother of his child and to his child.
Your mother thought that if you'd seen her the weekend before this happened, you would not have gone through with it.
Oh, hands down, there's no way it would have happened. But I hate telling her that, because then she feels like she has some responsibility, that if only she had just come for her normal visit like usual.
He was wanting to do a plea deal, and I was in shock because I just thought he would take this to his grave.
With Andrew pleading guilty to all charges, there would be no trial. He received a sentence of 43 years.
43 years. I'll be dead.
Everybody tries to tell me he'll never walk out of there, but he might. I mean, I won't be here, but Willow will be. I don't want her to have to worry about that.
But it's not case closed. Andrew then reveals to investigators that there's a whole lot more to this story.
Oh crap, he flipped.
And so I guess he's gonna flip the script and spill all the tea.
This call is from a federal prison. This call is from
Andrew Beard.
Hello, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
It's John Quinones from 2020.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm in prison, so I'm doing as good as you can for that, I guess.
You have a specific reason to talk to us, and thank you for doing that. But what is that reason?
For me, it was really just for obvious reasons. I've never spoken to the media or the news. And so the story just kind of went completely one direction. I've taken full responsibility and just wanted to basically say, hey, look, this has started from custody issues.
Andrew, this was quite the leap from I want custody of my daughter to I'm going to kill her mother.
John, it's because I feel you need to know the whole story. I'm not trying to attempt to disparage Alyssa's memory, but yeah, I had growing concerns from my daughter's well-being and whereabouts.
Did you initially have concerns about committing this crime, killing her?
Oh, absolutely. It goes against the laws of God, nature, and man.
Tell me about that morning. What happened?
For a while, that morning was very hazy. Basically just going to complete this final thing that needed to get done, and everything would be better. That was the thought in my mind.
In my conversation with Andrew, he was vague about what drove him to kill Alyssa. But as part of his plea deal, he detailed to prosecutors what he says led up to Alyssa's death.
So you say you didn't plan on shooting, but I mean...
No, again, I know what you're saying, man, but don't get me wrong. Every plan was eventually, you're going to then commit this crime.
And he gave a full accounting of everything from the beginning until the very end.
Holly was the driver in my mind. We talked about the joking sprinkled in of it would be so much easier if you just offer kind of situation. And then it was, well, we're going to plant these drugs. And then now, this thing happened. It's a lot of shoplifting.
What was Holly's role in all of this?
She was basically the mastermind behind it all. She clearly was leading me down the path. Anytime I would try to pull back from that path, she would make sure I stayed on it. The end goal was custody and to just be a family.
You tried to conceal your identity by using dark makeup. You think that was a good plan?
No. I thought the whole plan was ridiculous.
But you did it.
Yeah, I do. I know I did it. So the plan that was made was to dark makeup and make me look not white and essentially commit the crime, and that way, quote unquote, in her words, even if they see you, it would be somebody else.
He explained how he and Holly got involved, He walked us through the details about how they devised this plan to smear Alyssa, and when that didn't work, the plan was hatched to actually murder her.
I saw a growing need from Holly that she wanted Willow to, basically be her child. And that's all well and good, except there's a loving mother involved.
One text I found that I forgot to tell you guys about was she had specifically told me on the 25th, I hope you handled it. I'm not coming home to BS right now. And she said, this will be a whole different conversation if you're ride or die, if you prove that you're ride or die situation.
And your interpretation of ride or die was what?
Well, ride or die 100% meant that I'd be willing to commit a crime for her.
Andrew points the finger at Holly, but the FBI needs to corroborate that what he's saying is true. So they need to look at the digital footprint of the communications between Holly and Andrew. They need to look at emails, text messages, and where their phones were pinging.
There was a ton of digital evidence. Not only did we have computers from Andrew and Holly, we also had their cell phones. That's where the majority of the digital evidence came from that was used in the investigation.
Investigators say they later uncovered archived search histories on Holly's computer, including queries for spy store and GPS tracker. 3 years after Alyssa's death, authorities finally charged Holly Elkins. They arrested her at the Miami airport while she was returning home from vacation.
The arrest of Holly Elkins came as a shock.
It's bittersweet. It brings up all the hurt of the loss, but we're glad that she's being held accountable for it.
Count 1, she was charged with stalking. Count 2, conspiracy to stalk.
Holly Elkins pled not guilty to all charges.
We always knew that Holly had something to do with it. It was awesome that they finally got her and that they had, gotten all the evidence that they did have against her.
She was not hiding. She was carrying on her life by traveling and doing everything that she wanted to do. I think she thought that that this had passed and that she wasn't real concerned about it. I like to think that there was that little part in the back of her mind that kept bugging her about, man, I wonder if they're going to come after me. I wonder if they're going to find me.
While in prison, you come forward to police about Holly.
Yes, sir.
Why did you do that?
It was the right thing to do. I actually had a conversation with my attorney, and he had told me something that hit home pretty hard. What about the next guy, Andrew? He said, you take this fall, but the next one would be on you.
And now, Holly Elkins heads to trial.
Elkins says she was aware that Beard and Burkett were in a bitter custody battle over their child, but denies helping him.
I just couldn't believe some of the things that I had heard,
Prosecutors used phone records and online purchase history to link Holly Elkins to the 2020 shooting and stabbing death of Alyssa Burkett.
The prosecution in this case had everything at their disposal. They had every tool in the shed, and they used them all.
Elkins says she was aware that Beard and Burkett were in a bitter custody battle over their child, but denies helping him.
Holly Elkins' defense was this was a custody fight, and it wasn't her that did this. It wasn't her who pushed him and prodded him.
Elkins' attorneys disputed that she was part of the drug planting on Alyssa's vehicle or that she had anything to do with the GPS tracking devices found on the car. They rejected the argument that Holly was the mastermind in Alyssa's killing.
The woman who plotted the attack was convicted after brief jury deliberations.
I was so relieved, even though I felt like we were going to get the guilty verdict. I just was worried about the jury putting it all together because it's so much.
I do feel like in a way justice was served. I mean, he got 43 years and, Holly got life.
I'm happy with it.
You have a message for Alyssa's family?
I do. I'm so sorry for my despicable and downright evil actions. Alyssa was an inspiring young woman. She deserves so much more from life. Forgive myself for taking that away from you, and I know there's nothing I can say or do that will fix what I broke.
I don't think it was genuine. I think if you're gonna take someone's life, you'll never truly be sorry for anything. You can say, to me, as many sorries as you want, it's never gonna be enough or remorseful to me.
There's been times where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll forgive him one day, but then in my heart, do I really? And you have to, I guess, just to be able to move forward. It will never be okay what they did, but just for my own self and soul, I have to forgive that and let that go.
Your message to your daughter?
Willow, my sweet baby girl, you instantly became our world. Sorry for letting you down the way I did. Maybe one day you can forgive me for that. But I love you with every inch of my heart. I truly do.
Andrew has not had any contact with his daughter, Willow. However, when she turns 18, she will be given the choice, the opportunity to reach out to him if she wants to.
So Willow is now my daughter. The adoption is finalized. They are a spitting image of each other. Even the way Willow walks, when she turns around and walks off, I see Alyssa walking off. Like, it is just, they're that identical.
We're gonna become best friends and we're gonna make lots of new memories. And I love you.
Now that I'm a mother myself, I look at myself all the time and think, what would Alyssa tell me to do about this situation? Alyssa's watching us. Alyssa gave me this baby. She told me I'm ready to be a mom just like she was.
That's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us at 2020 and ABC News. Good night. Tonight, a red-hot court case from this summer, the so-called Black Swan. Was it murder or was it self-defense?
David, I have the exclusive interview with the ballerina at the center of it all. Not on stage, but on trial for murder. An all-new 2020 begins right now.
I was living a nightmare at home. It was terrifying. It was like two different people, and I never knew which Doug I was gonna get.
You're 24, he's 54. Were you worried about her connecting with this guy who's so much older?
Things didn't start off well. It was like, oh yeah, Eva, this is my new wife.
I felt like Ashley was taking my dad away from me.
It was all a masquerade. I mean, can I straight up say that? Doug was not who he portrayed himself to be.
That was sort of like, what's going on?
So you're thinking that your husband, the man who loved you and seemed to adore you, would poison you?
I read the allegations and I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. Doug never poisoned Ashley.
Is it possible that maybe you just imagined this?
Maybe it was all in my head.
But you know now that this sounds pretty dysfunctional.
Doug, what are you doing? She tried to ruin your life. I don't think he could have ever guessed what was going to happen to him.
I've never been so scared in my life.
Growing up, Ashley Benefield wanted nothing more than to become a world-class ballerina. She'd never dreamed that one day she'd be wearing a court-ordered ankle bracelet along with her pointe shoes.
Man County 911, what is the emergency?
Okay, it was right next door to me. She came in, she was quite hysterical. She said that he attacked her and she shot him.
Where is the gun?
I have it right here, ma'am. It's sitting on the floor. Where in the house is he?
Deputies are moving as fast as they can.
A normally quiet Lakewood Ranch neighborhood turned into a bloody crime scene.
Was it murder or self-defense?
It's a story with a lot of twists and turns.
The 32-year-old former ballerina alleging he attacked her in her home and that she fired back multiple times in self-defense.
Miss Benefield was in great fear of immediate and severe bodily harm.
A woman out on bond, still awaiting her fate.
So many law enforcement officials said, no, this isn't adding up.
Former ballerina at the center of the so-called Black Swan murder trial.
Only 2 people know exactly what happened. One of them is a suspect for second-degree murder. The other is dead.
Until now, Ashley has remained silent about the night of the shooting, about what happened in that house in this Florida community. But tonight, in her first interview, Ashley Benefield tells her story.
Hey
there. Your first time doing this, so here we go. Let's go back to your life in the beginning. You wanted to be a ballet dancer?
Yeah, actually, I started when I was 8. A family member was dancing on Broadway, and I was very inspired by her and what she was doing.
And what was it about ballet that captivated you?
It's complex. It's something that is beautiful and powerful, but at the same time, there's a lot of control and you have to be reserved. I think it's just the kind of dynamic of all of the things combined.
Ashley grew up in Maryland as an only child. Her mom, Alicia Byers, says they had a special bond. Your marriage dissolved, you split up with her father, and you raised her as a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for the two of you?
At first it was an adjustment, but we did well. We're very close. She was blessed with a lot of talents. And so it was a real joy raising her.
And at some point she becomes smitten with ballet.
Very, yes. She got to the point where she did it 7 days a week.
I was training during the day, all day. It was an everyday, all day thing.
She soon learns that it takes more than ability alone to make it as a professional dancer. Ashley's 5'9" and considered by most ballet companies to be too tall, something no amount of training can overcome.
There are height ranges in companies. A lot of that is because of partnering and complications that can arise if you're not well matched height-wise.
The ballet world tends to be kind of cookie cutter. It was hard finding a good fit for a company.
With her height and then a hamstring injury holding her back, Ashley decides to hang up her pointe shoes in her early 20s. You begin to shift your focus a little bit. In 2016, you became captivated by politics. What led you to the Trump campaign?
Well, I had actually always been interested in politics. I wasn't looking for it. The opportunity came up, and I was just finishing up with one chapter of my life, and it seemed like the right thing to do, so I jumped in.
Ashley's job for the Trump campaign was to go to rallies, and she would rile up the crowd, pray with the crowd. You could actually see videos of her online. She thought she was going to be part of the Trump team.
In her diary entries from this time, Ashley says she felt a special bond with candidate Trump. She writes, "We got to the plane early and waited for Mr. Trump to arrive." Ashley writes about her hopes for her future. She writes kind of a plea to God. "I want to be a wife and mother. Please bring me to that special man you've chosen for me."
Ashley wanted children. She wanted a family. She prayed that God would bring her a man to be with her. She made it clear in the diary what her plan was.
In August of 2016, in the thick of the campaign, her prayers seemed to be answered while attending a fundraiser at Dr. Ben Carson's home in Palm Beach, Florida. At some point, you meet a man named Doug Benefield.
Yes.
What did you think of him?
He was charming. Very funny, really smart, confident, but quiet. We were there for political reasons, but then also he was a man of faith, shared similar interests.
Those common interests included politics, God, and guns.
first night that Doug and Ashley met, Ashley had a gun in her bra. Doug, who has a military background, he thought, wow, look at this girl. Like, she's strong and she's powerful and she's, not afraid of weapons, and everything about her was just great.
He nicknamed you Ashley Oakley.
Yeah, we both had very strong opinions about the Second Amendment. That was something we bonded over. I had a concealed carry permit. You wanted to be a responsible gun owner. We talked the whole night. When the evening was over and everyone was leaving, we were texting and up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It just seemed like I had met my soulmate. We were like the perfect match. He kind of swept me off my feet. It was like a whirlwind. I think it was about 4 days in when he first told me he loved me.
4 days? That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
Something else Ashley says didn't bother her was the couple's significant age difference. You're 24, he's 54.
Yeah.
You're a young woman. Suddenly you're being romanced by this 54-year-old man. Did anybody in your life say, slow down, Ashley?
No, it just kind of happened.
But the bliss wouldn't last. Ashley learns that the man she's falling for has been married before.
Nothing was adding up. The more I tried to figure things out, the more the story changed.
And she says she begins uncovering secrets, leading her to wonder just who Doug Benefield really is. In the summer of 2016, 24-year-old Ashley Benefield is on the road stumping for Donald Trump when she finds romance at a Palm Beach fundraiser. Did sparks begin to fly between you two?
It was like an instant connection, yeah. We both had that evangelical background, so we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Doug Benefield grew up in a Baptist family, the middle of 3 sons, with a stay-at-home mom and a father who worked as a scientist at NASA.
Doug graduated from high school in Huntsville, Alabama. He was a top wrestler in the state. He decided to follow his father and our family to Texas A&M.
After graduating from college, Doug joins the U.S. Navy in Pensacola. He rises through the ranks quickly, and the Navy assigns Doug to a position in Charleston, South Carolina.
While he's working for the Defense Intelligence Agency, he gets involved in renovations of old historic buildings with people that he meets in Charleston.
Doug started up some businesses here, a restaurant, some other things. He had a group of friends and colleagues.
He loved it there. And one of those locations that he most loved was out on Sullivan's Island. Doug found a small hole-in-the-wall Irish pub called Dunleavy's Pub. That same Irish pub is where he meets his wife, Renee.
If someone were to ask me to sum up Renee in a few sentences, it'd be very difficult. She's stunningly beautiful but doesn't know it, and loves to make people laugh.
Doug has a pretty quick courtship with a woman named Renee Kauser. They marry, and in 2001, their daughter Eva is born.
My mom was the sweetest, happiest woman you would ever meet. She was an angel walking on earth. She was never, ever, ever in a bad mood. She loved everybody.
Doug's marriage to Renee, by all accounts, was a happy marriage. Of course, ups and downs, but generally a happy marriage.
Doug and Renee and Eva together are just this triad. They're just 3 together all the time. You never saw them apart. Happy, beautiful family.
But when Eva is just 14, the happy family suffers a devastating loss.
I was waiting in the pickup line outside of my school, and she wasn't there. And I went home, and nobody was answering the doorbell, and I didn't have my key, and my mom wasn't answering her texts.
Eva called and said, I can't get a hold of my mom, and Dad's in Dallas. And so I get on the phone with Doug.
Doug asks Melody for help. Her husband goes next door and breaks into the house to find Renee unresponsive, face down on her bed.
I just remember going back out on the porch and seeing my neighbor's face, and he shook his head, and I knew that she just wasn't there anymore. She passed of an underlying heart condition. It was shocking.
An autopsy reveals that Renee died of natural causes.
He tried to stay really strong for me, and I never really saw him break down from it. It was different. It was quiet in the house. It was just different.
Then, just 9 short months after her mother's passing, Eva meets a new woman in her father's life, Ashley Benefield.
I heard about her on a Friday. I met her the following Saturday, and then Sunday, I was up in my room, and my dad came upstairs, and he said, "Eva, we need to have a conversation, all 3 of us." And I said, "No, I think the only thing that I would be interested in hearing is if you told me that you proposed to her." And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, he said, "We're married." Yeah, it was a lot.
Eva's not the only one blindsided by the quick marriage, which happened at a secret ceremony just 13 days after Doug and Ashley met.
First time I hear anything about Ashley is they're married and she's already moved in to Doug's home in Mount Pleasant.
How did he propose? Was this a formal get on his knee and propose to you? How did that happen?
It was more of like, hey, you know, we should just do this. Like, let's get married. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
They moved very quickly, and before you know it, they're engaged and married.
Yeah, it was like, whoa.
What was your wedding like?
It was small. It was just me and Doug and 2 of his friends.
So suddenly you're Mrs. Benefield.
Yep.
Were you happy?
I was thrilled. Yeah, I felt like I had finally met my soulmate. I think a lot of it had to do with Eva. He really sold me on the fact that she needed a mommy person to be there. And I guess I felt needed and wanted.
But Eva, still grieving the loss of her mom, says she neither wanted nor needed a stepmom, especially one so close to her in age.
The age difference between me and Ashley is 8 years. Anytime I hung out with her and we were shopping downtown, we would get mistaken as sisters.
How did you get along with Eva?
I think things didn't start off well because she didn't really find out until after we were married. It was like, oh yeah, Eva, this is my new wife. And it didn't go over well.
I will just say this, he messed up. He messed up by jumping into a relationship and not inviting his daughter into it. That was, I think, a huge mistake.
My dad seemed very excited and happy, and I also understood that he was grieving differently than me.
Ashley and Doug are moving full steam ahead. They don't just want a romantic partnership, they want to be business partners.
It seemed like we found something once again that we were both equally passionate about, so we just hit the ground running.
But what Ashley and Doug don't realize is that both the romance and the business will soon self-destruct.
You can't make promises and not live up to them.
Like, what's going on? People were mad.
I found out that it was all a masquerade.
My name is Sarah Muraski. When I was a young girl, I saw a performance of The Nutcracker, and I fell in love with it right away. I knew right in that moment that's what I wanted to do with my life.
After years of sacrifice and dedication, Sarah finally gets her big break. She's cast in the Pennsylvania Ballet's production of The Nutcracker, in the lead role, the Sugar Plum Fairy.
It was like it was a fairy tale in a way. In that moment of my life, it was everything I could have dreamed up.
But Sarah says one night backstage, her dream is unexpectedly shattered. She's told that the company is going in another direction.
The director took me aside and said, "You're too tall." For me to even think that it was done was unimaginable after sacrificing my whole life for this moment, for this career. It was a few months after that I received a message online from Ashley Benefield.
Ashley says she and Doug were talking one night when they had the idea to start a ballet company that would include all kinds of dancers.
I was a tall dancer. I'm just a tall person, I guess. I just been talking about how there were things in the ballet world that I didn't think were right. And that, well, you know, if it was up to me, I would do it differently. And he was like, well, why don't we do it?
Ashley called me. We spoke. I remember her saying things like, I want to make a change for ballet. I want ballet to be able to show its beauty in the best way with all different kinds of dancers.
The concept was diversity. I trained with beautiful dancers of all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, you name it. And I watched them have a hard time getting a job. I was frustrated by that.
You came up with the name for it, American National Ballet.
Yep.
So he was going to handle the business part, and you would be more creative.
Yep. Doug had done a lot of like fundraising for different companies, for a lot of these kind of up and coming tech companies. And I remember him being like, oh, you know, tech companies and ballet, like I'm sure we can, you know, fundraise for both.
Doug sat down with me and directly asked me, I want you to work with Ashley. You know what you're doing to help get the basics of the company started.
He said they were doing a ballet company, and I'd come home from school and Ashley was in the dining room with headshots laid out, sticky notes everywhere.
When I was originally brought in, Ashley had already hired, there were 50 dancers in the company, which surprised me because when you're first starting out, that's an awful lot of money that's going out, and you don't have any money coming in yet.
That was sort of like, what's going on? It just seemed like a lot for a company that was starting out, and that maybe they were biting off more than they could chew.
Even though he doesn't have the backing yet, Doug is convinced that he can raise the money. So dozens of dancers from all over the world flock to American National Ballet with the promise of year-long contracts, state-of-the-art studio facilities, even a housing stipend for apartments in the heart of Charleston.
The idea was remarkable. The execution was a little less.
It became somewhat apparent fairly quickly that Doug was overpromising and not going to be able to deliver on all of this.
In the fall of 2017, the dancers began arriving, only to find that the promised housing stipend isn't available, and the original rehearsal space promised doesn't exist.
And then I think in like mid-October, word started to get out that the dancers weren't quite getting paid in a traditional way, that they were being paid in cash.
Doug was then pulling money from every source that he could of his own, money that he didn't have, to try to just fund this ballet.
It just got worse and worse each day. I didn't know where the company was going.
Adding to the chaos, Ashley is nowhere to be found. Not at rehearsals, not working with the dancers. She seems to have just vanished. And meantime, Doug is so financially strapped that American National Ballet ends up laying off nearly half of the recently hired dancers.
It's all fine and well to conceive of an amazing, ambitious dance company. It's great, but if you can't deliver it, somebody's going to get hurt. And the dancers, certainly in this case, are the ones who got hurt the most.
The very next day, after half the company's dancers are let go, Ashley suddenly reappears. Not in person, but in a post on social media, writing in part, I publicly disavow my support for American National Ballet, and adding, I'm no longer associated with this organization in any way.
I was horrified. I didn't know all of the things that were falling apart behind the scenes. I didn't see it coming. I no longer wanted to be part of it.
Ashley left the scene, and then Doug abandoned the scene. He's like, one day he just wasn't there anymore. The organization evaporated.
People were mad. People were very angry. Because losing your job in ballet is not like, okay, I'm gonna go on Indeed and see what's, who's hiring. You're kind of locked out for the year until the next audition season.
American National Ballet has hurt everyone. You can't make promises and not live up to them because there are people's livelihoods that are involved. There are people's dreams that are involved.
Some fault Doug for mismanaging the ballet, and others blame Ashley for disappearing.
Ashley's absence from the ballet company was a very significant basis for the failure. She was the face of this company. When she left, the dancers, they didn't have anything.
But Ashley says there's a reason she left Charleston and the ballet behind. She claims she had to, that her very life depended on it.
He pulled the gun out and started waving it around.
I was living a nightmare. It was terrifying. It was like two different people, and I never knew which Doug I was gonna get.
In less than a year, Doug and Ashley Benefield's American National Ballet goes bust. What very few people knew, though, was that behind the scenes, the same was happening to the couple's marriage.
Doug always explained to me that the biggest factor of growing tensions at home was the conflict between Ashley and Eva.
I felt like Ashley would try and act like my mom and tell me what to do. And I was like, you were less than 10 years older than me.
Ashley says while American National Ballet is getting up and running, Doug and her arguments over Eva and the ballet become more frequent, aggressive, even scary.
He would yell and scream and cuss. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Things would be happy and okay one moment, and then the next minute he was out of control.
I never really saw a shift in their relationship, but that's also because I was trying to stay out of it as much as possible. I said, okay, if my dad's happy, I'm happy.
On June 15, 2017, Eva is out of the house when a heated argument between Doug and Ashley quickly escalates.
He pulled the gun out and started waving it around. He threw the gun at me. He said that if I left, that he was going to kill himself.
I begged him not to. And then he pulled the trigger. And the bullet went into the ceiling.
At a legal hearing the couple will later attend, you can hear Doug's own voice as he describes this incident. While he doesn't deny the argument or firing his 9mm, he disputes Ashley's characterization of the fight.
You did discharge the gun into the ceiling, correct?
Yeah, I did. It was a horrible decision.
She says he then threw the gun at me. That didn't happen, did it?
No, I did not throw the gun at her. I just kind of spun in the chair and threw it against the wall.
She says Doug then grabbed the gun again and held it to his own head, threatening to kill myself. Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Ashley says at another point during that same argument, Doug physically abuses the family dog.
He hit Sully.
Your dog?
Sully got between us and he punched him.
At that same 2018 hearing, Doug tells a different version of this story to Ashley's attorney.
You also punched the dog the day that you discharged the firearm?
He jumped up in my lap. He's a big dog. I admit I hit him. I didn't hit him like you would, hit a punching bag or anything, but I hit him. But yes, I was probably too physical with him.
Were you beginning to rethink the marriage?
After he shot the gun in the house, that's when I really realized that I had a problem. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what was coming next.
What comes next for the couple is a bit surprising. A celebration of marriage 9 months after their initial hasty I-dos.
They had a wedding ceremony right after that. Everyone's smiling. She's smiling.
People had already booked their tickets and everyone was coming. And I didn't want them to see that part of my life. I felt like a failure. I didn't know what else to do.
Even with their turbulent marriage, Doug and Ashley decide they want to have a child together. In August, you find out you're pregnant. What do you think initially?
I was scared. It was supposed to be like a happy thing, but my heart dropped. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Here again, Doug's story differs from Ashley's.
It wasn't an accident, of course, that she got pregnant. It was planned. Doug had had a vasectomy years ago. Ashley paid with her own credit card for Doug to have a vasectomy reversal, and they then started to try to get pregnant.
One thing both sides do agree on, Ashley had a difficult pregnancy.
It was rough.
Morning sickness?
Yeah, and it wasn't even morning sickness. It was like around the clock sickness. I couldn't eat. He couldn't take care of me. And he drove me down to Florida and dropped me off at my mom's house.
Doug's life is a whirlwind. He's got his hands full in Charleston with the ballet company and raising his teen daughter, Eva. And he's spending his free time driving to Florida to be with Ashley. The two are in constant communication.
Doug was driving back and forth to take care of his family, spread it across these two states. And he had to also be back in Charleston because on September 18th, this was going to be the big launch of the American National Ballet. Ashley was not going to be able to be present for the launch, supposedly because she was so sick.
But at that very moment, what Doug doesn't know is that Ashley and her mom are driving from Florida to Charleston, not to attend the ballet launch, but for an entirely different reason. On September 18th, you decided to move your belongings out of Doug's home.
Yeah.
She wrote a note alleging some things were wrong in the house and that there had been some abuse or at least violence on his part, and that she was therefore leaving him.
Ashley writes, "Do not harass or try to follow me or I will call the police," and then goes on to say, "I will talk with you only via text, and do not call me or my mom. We will not pick up."
He was completely stunned. He had no idea Ashley was leaving him.
Just after learning that his wife is leaving him, Doug is again blindsided by a restraining order, barring him from contacting Ashley. The expectant dad then hires family attorney Stephanie Murphy to act as an intermediary.
Doug wanted to be present for the birth if Ashley felt comfortable. I sent the letter to Ashley asking, can Doug be part of the birth?
But Murphy says shortly after sending that letter, Ashley gives birth to a baby girl named Emerson, 3 weeks before her due date. Did you tell Doug?
No, there was a restraining order, so I couldn't legally have contact with him.
But he's the father of the child.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you intend for him to find out?
I mean, I knew he would eventually.
Doug didn't know that Ashley had given birth. He learned through an injunction that she filed that the child had been born, and that was several weeks after the child had been born.
Doug's not on the birth certificate. She didn't even give Doug the respect of naming his daughter Benefield. She gave the baby's last name as her grandfather's name. He was devastated. He was devastated that he missed the birth of his child and that he was not able to see her.
But Ashley says she was only doing what any mother would do. She believed that Doug was a danger, not only to her, but to her newborn daughter, too.
At first, I attributed it to morning sickness, but I started to wonder if there was more to it.
Every morning, you would make sure she drank the tea. Why? Why was that so important that she drink the tea?
It's April 2018. Ashley Benefield is a new mom, changing diapers, nursing her infant daughter. And at the same time, she's filing court papers seeking a protection order against her husband and the father of her baby, Doug Benefield.
So it would just basically put up a wall between Ashley and Doug.
It's not just that incident with the gun and the dog. Medical records suggest that she was in good health. Still, she says she had a growing suspicion that the terrible morning sickness she had wasn't just a routine part of her pregnancy. She wondered whether she was being poisoned by Doug.
It seemed like crazy and far-fetched, but I realized that the tea that he had been giving me, if I didn't drink it, he would get really mad at me. And I started to wonder if he was doing something to the tea.
She started telling me every morning he would make sure she drank the tea. Why? Why was that so important that she drink the tea?
I did some toxicology testing through hair testing.
And what did it reveal?
That I had been poisoned.
The results from the lab Ashley privately hires for her hair test show extremely high levels of heavy metals like aluminum, barium, tin. The tests on baby Emerson also detect toxic metals. So you're thinking that your husband, the man who loved you and seemed to adore you, would poison you?
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't know why.
Ashley says she became so concerned for her health that she resorted to some pretty serious measures, including more than 20 sessions inside a hyperbaric chamber like this one, along with her infant daughter. Ashley says her hope was that this high-pressure environment would help detoxify their blood. She insists that her fear that Doug had tried to poison them was real. Others call it fiction.
Doug never poisoned Ashley. Never. I read the allegations and I thought, oh my God, this is crazy.
Doug's family attorney points to those medical records during and after Ashley's pregnancy, showing her to be in good health.
The day after the baby was born, she was breastfeeding the baby. So which is it? Are you poisoned to the point that you are full of heavy metals, or are you okay and therefore you're going to breastfeed your baby? There's always been holes in the story.
A judge agrees, siding with Doug and his toxicology expert who challenged Ashley's test results. Her request to keep Doug away from her and their child is denied.
There is not a single scintilla of credible evidence that Miss Benefield has ever been poisoned.
A judge didn't believe you.
Yeah. I started to just feel like maybe I was crazy. Maybe it was all in my head.
So now Doug Benefield has moved into an apartment in Florida as the couple attempts to co-parent Emerson.
But things started to deteriorate. He was becoming very possessive and controlling again.
Doug has a tracking device put on Ashley's car, even hires a private investigator. His attorney says it wasn't unreasonable given Ashley's past allegations.
He never tried to hide the fact that he had put the tracker on the car. I think he wanted just to kind of figure out what's going on. Am I being lied to?
And then new concerns from Ashley.
She started coming home hurt. One day came back with her face very badly injured.
And what were you told?
He said that she was playing with bubbles and that she slipped and fell.
It was consistent with what happened. She fell on her face with a pacifier. Ashley, however, made another abuse allegation.
The sheriff's office and Child Protective Services investigate the claims and conclude that there are no indicators of injury or abuse.
None of these cases led to charges. The child protection team closed them without any findings, and then the sheriff's office closed them as unfounded.
Then, amidst all this tension, the Benefields make a decision that will confound everybody who knows them.
He had gotten a job in Maryland, And so we started talking about all moving.
Moving as a family to Maryland.
Not as a family, but moving, like together at the same time.
I was just stunned. I mean, and once again, Doug, what are you doing? She tried to ruin your life.
All along, Doug would tell everyone who knew him, I believe I can make this work.
How do you rationalize patching things up with a man who you think has been abusing your daughter?
He was her father. I wanted things to be as good as they could be.
But you know now that this sounds pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah. There didn't seem to be a good option.
So you're packing up. You're going to make this move. Doug comes over. Did you two begin arguing?
He was constantly going back to this idea that we had to live together, telling me that wasn't how God intended it. He just flipped out, and it just kept escalating.
Escalating, she says, to the point of no return.
When you take a good man and a woman who's manipulative at her professional level, he's not ever going to play chess with her and win.
That bedroom was empty, other than 2 handguns.
We found that suspicious.
I was extremely concerned about Ashley's safety. Ashley was about to knock down that house of cards.
I don't think he could have ever guessed what was going to happen to him.
And what happened?
I had my gun. I told him to stop. Sorry.
What led you to go for the gun?
I've never been so scared in my life.
The information that I had was that it was a domestic-related shooting. The husband was dead. The wife did the shooting, and she claimed self-defense.
Benefield's life is taking center stage at what's been dubbed the Black Swan murder trial.
Good morning, Miss Benefield.
There was always this little thought in the back of my head that said Ashley's going to do something to him.
She said, my dad's dead, isn't he? And then she said she killed him. She killed him, didn't she?
Why would you have a loaded gun in the house and you've got a child?
There was a ticking clock. She was very, very afraid that Doug was going to take this child away from her.
This is all part of Ashley's crazy campaign to just annihilate Doug in every single way.
And starts moving his arms around. Well, show me. What was he doing?
We stand with Ashley! We stand with Ashley!
Even her own little daughter marching for her mom.
We stand with Ashley!
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
In the ballet world, it's known as the pas de deux, a duet, a step of two. For Ashley and Doug Benefield, a former ballerina and a businessman, their dance begins with a 13-day whirlwind courtship, plans to build a ballet company, and later, a baby. But the love affair turns dark and disturbing. Court battles, disputed allegations of poisoning, abuse. And in the finale, Doug and Ashley, seemingly about to reconcile and start anew, reach a sudden and tragic end. What happened in the moments before the gunshots rang out in this Florida community in September of 2020 will be scrutinized for years by investigators, by lawyers, and the media. Ashley Benefield has kept quiet about what she says happened that night until she sat down with me. How are you doing?
It depends on the moment. Just a lot of emotion, kind of like a roller coaster.
That roller coaster, Ashley says, took a sharp turn in the fall of 2020, when after 4 years of ups and downs, she and her husband, Doug, were preparing to move to Maryland. The plan, according to Ashley, was to continue living separately, just as they had in Florida.
He was constantly going back to this idea that we had to live together.
In these text messages from September 27th, the Benefields exchanged jokes, even emojis. Doug arrives at 5:30 with a U-Haul at the gated community where Ashley lives with her mom. Ashley's mom and daughter Emerson are out of the house at a nearby park. Ashley claims it isn't long before things go from friendly to fiery. Sounds like you guys are just agreeing to pack. And did you two begin arguing verbally? Was there yelling?
There was a back and forth.
She goes on to say that Doug becomes physically aggressive too, at one point bumping into her with a moving box and scraping her side. She then says she tries to diffuse the tension and asks him to leave.
He ended up trapping me, and I tried to leave. He hit me.
Where did he hit you? Did he threaten you?
He said I couldn't leave. I almost made it to the front door and he stopped me. I ran to my bedroom and he followed me there. Told him to stop. Sorry.
What led you to go for the gun?
He had never hit me before. I thought he would stop if he saw it.
What did you think was about to happen?
I thought he was actually going to kill me this time.
Did he have a gun?
Not that I could see. He told me I was done. And even though I was the one holding the gun, he plunged at me. I'm sorry.
You fired 4 times. You missed him twice. And when you hit him, what did you think?
I ran.
Ashley says she races out of her house over to a neighbor's home. 2 residents who were out walking their dog who heard the shots described seeing a woman frantically running from the home.
Maine County 911, what is the emergency?
Okay, Marie's right next door to me. She just came over. Her strange husband attacked her, and she says she shot him.
Okay, what's his name?
His name is Doug Benefield.
They said that Doug attacked me and I shot him. It was all a blur.
Did you think you had killed him?
I didn't know if he was behind me or chasing me or what. I didn't know.
I don't know. She came in. She was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. She said that he attacked her and she shot him.
And at the end of that call, even though the neighbor had never seen Doug or Ashley fight, he tells the dispatcher something alarming.
Just between you and me, the son of a bitch has been harassing him and threatening him for a long time.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't say that.
When law enforcement first arrived at the house following the 911 call, and they make it in the house, they find Doug.
He had a gunshot wound to his calf through and through. He had a gunshot wound to his right side chest area that landed in his back across on the left-hand side. Paramedics arrived. They continued CPR and took him to the hospital, but he was pronounced deceased at the hospital.
This is the man that you had loved, the father of your child. What did you make of it when you heard that he was dead?
I was horrified. It's like the worst nightmare.
A nightmare Ashley won't wake up from anytime soon.
That bedroom was essentially empty, other than 2 handguns.
One of them was in a backpack, hanging in the closet. One of them was just in a bin on top of a hamper. And we found that suspicious.
I think that definitely gave the detectives pause.
There was always this little thought in the back of my head that said Ashley's gonna do something to him. Ashley's gonna sabotage him somehow. There's a look in her eyes where she She just looks like she finally got her way.
I remember thinking to myself, there's something wrong here.
Every morning, Doug reached out to Eva no matter where he was in the world.
He would either text me a good morning or he would send me a Bible verse. So I expected that.
And that morning, he didn't send it.
Or I texted him like 10 times. And then I said, Dad, this is scaring me.
Monday morning, I was in the office and I saw an email that Ashley's attorney sent said, we need to cancel Wednesday's hearing. Doug is dead. I had to call Doug's family. It was just heart-wrenching. Poor girl, I mean, she knew. She just said, my dad's dead, isn't he? And then she said, she killed him. She killed him, didn't she?
And I set my phone down and I said, I don't have parents anymore. I was just shaking violently for like 6 hours.
Doug Benefield's family and friends are grappling with unthinkably tragic news. And meantime, investigators are trying to make sense of what happened the night before.
The information that I had was that it was a domestic-related shooting. The husband was dead, the wife did the shooting, and she claimed self-defense.
Ashley is taken to the sheriff's office, where attorneys from her family court case are waiting. You didn't give a statement. Why not?
My attorney is yelling to me in the parking lot. You know, don't say anything, don't say anything. I guess I was just following advice.
Ashley does consent to photos that she says document the swelling on her face where she says Doug hit her.
When I saw her that night after she left the police station, the left side of her face was swollen. She had obviously been struck. The next morning when she was changing a shirt, I saw the cut on her stomach.
But law enforcement contends that Ashley's injuries don't suggest a life or death struggle.
There was no swelling, there was no bruising, there was no difference in the way she looked. The entirety of the injuries that they found that were relevant was a scratch on her side, and that was it. They got pictures of every angle, of every place that the attorneys wanted them to take, and there were no injuries except for that scratch.
And investigators are also skeptical of Ashley's claims of being attacked because Doug was unarmed. She had access to 2 weapons. You said that you were a responsible gun owner, but why would you have a loaded gun in the house and you've got a child?
Well, the purpose of having a gun is for like a self-defense. The idea is that if something were to happen crazy in the middle of the night, that it would be accessible.
But then you've got a loaded gun that's basically sort of out in a bin. There are those who say that sounds really suspicious.
I mean, I feel like anything can be turned to try to make it look a certain way.
We found that suspicious, that someone would have 2 guns readily accessible in an empty room when everything else is in a U-Haul truck.
According to the medical examiner's report, the fatal gunshot entered the right side of Doug Benefield's chest. To investigators, that doesn't fit with somebody who's lunging toward her.
If someone were coming at you or attacking you, the entrance wound to the fatal shot would not be in the side.
And results from the forensic lab raise even more questions about Ashley's claim of self-defense.
And there was no stippling on Doug's shirt, so that told us that the barrel of the gun was at least 3 to 7 feet away. and that's the barrel of the gun, not even her body. So they were not in a combat life or death situation where they were locked together.
Just over a month after Doug Benefield is shot and killed, Ashley is charged with second-degree murder. She pleads not guilty.
The Manatee County woman charged with shooting and killing her husband.
Suspect for second-degree murder and the
You're arrested. Charged with Doug's murder. What did you think?
I was shocked. I was blindsided by it.
In the minds of investigators, Doug Benefield's demise wasn't about self-defense. To them, it was Ashley's plan all along.
The whole lie, the whole deception is coming to an end.
Doug was going to find out your wife is lying to you.
There was a ticking clock. She was very, very afraid that Doug was going to take this child away from her. Very afraid.
But others insist the real victim here is Ashley.
Doug Benefield was anything but what he portrayed himself to be.
This is someone who was a predator, and this is someone who was not going to be stopped.
He told me that he killed Renee.
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
I always try to go and sit and watch the sunset when I can. There's so many good memories there. We chose to spread my dad's ashes on station 22.5, and that is the same station that my parents met.
We held a celebration. We raised a toast, a life well lived and a terrible ending to a life.
A life Doug's family insists was cut short by a woman they say was driven to destroy him.
No one at that memorial service in any way believed the story of Doug attacking Ashley, her shooting him out of fear. Doug still loved Ashley in spite of what she did to him, in spite of all the accusations, all the allegations.
I said, why do you keep going back? And he said, you know, I just want to show her that, like, I'm a good man and men can be good. And then he wanted Emerson to have a happy family.
He was willing to do whatever he had to do to be a part of Emerson's life.
And while it appears to some that the couple were trying for yet another fresh start, their family court case in Florida was still open. Both Ashley and Doug had been evaluated by a psychologist, and that report was completed just before the planned move to Maryland. Prosecutors insist the report about Ashley is crucial, that once released, Doug was going to learn that she had no intention of reconciling.
Ashley was afraid that Doug was going to take custody away from her. This is a judge that did not believe her theatrics, and if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be this judge.
And prosecutors believe the move to Maryland offers Ashley another chance and another court to keep Doug away from her and their child.
I believe that she was going to start everything again in Maryland and hope for a different result.
Were you thinking at all, you've got another state you can try to fight him for custody?
My hope was that if something was going wrong, that maybe in a fresh place, they would take it more seriously.
Ashley's mindset leading up to the shooting, prosecutors say, is critical. Was this a woman who truly feared for her life?
Text messages between Doug and Ashley leading up to that day, in the days ahead, and then the day of the homicide were very normal.
To say that someone couldn't have been defending themselves later in a day because of nice text messages that morning is absurd. Doug was always like a flip of a switch.
He could turn on a dime. He could be very happy. He could be charming. But then, for no reason at all, he could get very upset. We kept on asking for help. It's been years of absolute hell. And we went from one abuser to a system that is abusing a victim.
Were you an abused woman?
Yeah, I didn't think so at first. I remember like trying to argue, no, like it's not like that. You know, I don't have broken bones and black eyes.
Most incidents of domestic violence are subtle, where the offender uses isolation, financial control, threatening, verbal abuse, things that the general public doesn't necessarily see. But these are also things that the victim doesn't always know is abuse.
There was no evidence to indicate that she was truly a victim of abuse in the months leading up to the homicide when they were not even living together.
In the months before the shooting, Ashley reaches out to a domestic violence agency and eventually connects with a therapist, Dr. Barbara Russell, who becomes a trusted friend and advocate.
This relationship was very controlling. He was incessantly sending her text messages saying that all of the men that are probably flirting with her need to be exterminated like rats. And then he would shift gears and talk to her very lovingly and sweetly. Like most domestic violence situations, it escalated. He would push her, he would lock her in bathrooms.
During one of those alleged incidents early in their relationship, Ashley claims Doug admitted something about his late wife that terrified her.
He had always told me that they had this fairy tale marriage, that they never fought. And then I found messages.
Text messages, she says, reveal a side of Doug that Ashley claims she saw in her own marriage.
She said one time he kicked her really hard. He had secretly videotaped them starting on their honeymoon. One time we were having an argument and he told me that he had killed Renee.
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
An investigation was done. There was no finding of foul play in any way. There was a full autopsy.
The coroner in Renee's death investigation ruled that she died of natural causes due to a heart condition.
Ashley tried to convince me that my dad killed my mom. I said, Dad, this is what she's doing. She was just kind of like, we're going to therapy where, you know, things will be okay. Obviously, like, I didn't kill your mom.
This was all part of Ashley's crazy campaign. Ashley wanted to keep Doug away from that kid at the expense of everything and everyone else. She would not stop.
Her goal was never to get rid of Doug. Her goal was to keep her daughter safe. That's very different than wanting to kill somebody.
Two starkly different portraits of Ashley Benefield. Is she a murderer?
Benefield taking center stage at what has been dubbed the Black Swan murder trial.
Or a victim who stood her ground.
He told her she was finished.
He's coming at you and you have nowhere to go. What do? You shoot to protect yourself.
A legal strategy that could keep Ashley free.
This is the one chance at this point that we have to end it all now.
We stand with Ashley, mother, daughter, sister, friend.
Here, how about I push you this way? You ready? Yeah.
So what's summer been like for you two?
Emerson does a lot of swimming, right?
Yeah, I can swim a lot, pretty much.
So you're getting to be a strong swimmer.
Great job.
Whoa!
Ashley Benefield has spent several years under house arrest, living with her mom and daughter Emerson, who's now 5, while awaiting trial for second-degree murder.
Here we are, climbing trees, catching geckos.
This has been hanging, you know, in the balance really for years now. And in the same time, you know, you're trying to mother.
It definitely wouldn't be what I would pick, but I'm thankful for all the good things that we have. She's an amazing little girl. I love being her mommy.
Meanwhile, the other daughter, caught in the middle, 22-year-old Eva Benefield, found her own way to process her pain.
When I was 15, my mom died of an underlying heart condition.
I had been on TikTok for like a few months, and I thought, oh, that'd be funny if I made a joke about my dad being murdered. I made a TikTok, and I put my phone down, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and it was at 700,000 likes. And then it just kept going and going and going. It got like 3 million likes and like 10 million views. And within 2 weeks, I had 100,000 followers.
Eva has gone from grieving and stuck in trauma to getting help to finding an outlet in her art.
Eva, Doug's daughter, does not support you. Do you want to say anything to her?
My heart's broken for her. She has been through so much. I wouldn't even know where to start.
In February 2023, Ashley's legal team files a motion to dismiss under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. The law allows the use of deadly force if a person believes that that force is necessary to prevent imminent death or to prevent a violent crime without any expectation to retreat.
Doug stopped her from fleeing her home. Well, that would be false imprisonment, and that would qualify as a violent felony, which would give her the right to use deadly force.
Ashley's defense filed a 105-page motion presenting her version of the night she shot Doug. For his family, it was the first time hearing her side.
The story they've made up is as implausible as everything else she ever made up about Doug and their relationship. It's implausible that any of that occurred the way she and her lawyer have told it.
The court found enough merit in Ashley's motion to grant her a hearing. Now the burden of proof shifts to the state to prove that Ashley did not act in self-defense.
The prosecution has to basically put on a trial, but it's just a hearing in front of a judge.
Well, with this hearing, we have the opportunity to put a stop to the proceedings. Then I get my life back.
Doug's family travels to Florida to attend the hearing.
It feels a little weird just because the last time I was here was when my dad was alive.
All right, good morning, everyone. We are on the record in the state of Florida versus Ashley Benefield.
The state calls 8 witnesses, including Doug's family members and law enforcement, who testify that Ashley had no significant injuries to justify self-defense.
Did you have a crime scene technician take photographs of her?
We did.
And why did you want pictures?
I didn't notice any kind of injuries, things that you would typically see during a physical altercation.
For their part, the defense relied solely on the details laid out in the 105-page motion filed before the hearing, calling no witnesses.
There was no independent evidence that refuted her version of events. I believe this motion compels the court to grant it. Thank you for the court's patience.
Judge didn't rule from the bench. They typically do not. After the hearing ended, we just had to wait for a written order.
It would take 2 months, but ultimately the judge would deny Ashley Benefield's Stand Your Ground motion, saying the state had shown the shooting was not in self-defense. Now, out of options, Benefield will have to face a jury of her peers in this courthouse.
And happening right now, potential jurors being questioned in what people are calling the Black Swan trial.
The Black Swan trial.
Black Swan murder trial.
The Black Swan has a catchy ring, and it sensationalizes my life. And it's sad to me that people who don't even know me have this idea of a monster.
But not everybody sees her that way.
We stand with Ashley.
We stand with Ashley.
Dozens of protesters here at the Manatee County Courthouse marching in defense of Ashley Benefield.
And the littlest supporter marching out there also happens to be one of Ashley's biggest defenders.
She kept on asking, Mommy, can I go? Can I go? I want to be part of this. I want to stand up for my mommy. I don't want to be without my mommy. And
With Ashley Benefield now facing the possibility of life in prison, the big question is, will the jury believe her?
The entire dynamic of the trial shifting today as Ashley Benefield made her way to the stand.
The stakes for Ashley were extremely high.
I was hoping that they would call Ashley.
There's nowhere to go. I was trapped.
I really just wanted them to see Ashley for Ashley.
I thought he was going to kill me.
Testimony in the so-called Black Swan murder trial happening in Manatee County.
Supporters rallying behind Ashley Benefield. Benefield is the Manatee County woman charged with shooting and killing her husband, Doug Benefield.
After nearly 4 years, Ashley Benefield finally gets her day in court, where she's hoping to prove that she shot her husband, Doug, in self-defense.
This was a custody battle that this mother was going to win at all costs. And the cost was the life of Doug Benefield. And that is murder.
All right, State, call your first witness.
The prosecution gets to work building its case.
State calls Stephanie Murphy.
Calling Doug Benefield's family attorney to the stand.
At the time the child was born, did you or Doug know that the child was born?
No, gosh, we didn't know for a good 5 or 6 weeks after she was born.
All right, who is your next witness?
Detective Chris Gillum.
All right.
The state also calls the detective who spoke with Ashley back in 2018 when he investigated her claims that Doug had abused their daughter.
She asked for me to arrest Doug when he came inside the courtroom in front of the presiding judge.
And what was your reaction to that?
That absolutely would not occur.
And how did she take that?
She was upset.
I think it was very important testimony. It was a snapshot into the real Ashley Benefield.
Her tone turned very aggressive, and she says, "You will arrest him in front of the judge, and I will make sure you do it." And she says, "I'll do whatever I have to do to keep my baby, you a-hole."
Ashley's side insists she was only trying to protect her child from a man she was terrified of.
Defense would call Dr. Jason Quintel.
They call a mental health counselor who saw both Doug and Ashley.
Did you conclude whether there was an intimidation issue present?
Ashley stated that she was scared of Doug.
Did you reach any conclusions with respect to Douglas Benefield?
Doug occurred as someone who was domineering and the terminology that I would use at times would be super controlling. He would fit the stereotype of an alpha male, in my opinion.
The defense also turns to a domestic violence expert to explain why, even though Ashley claimed she was living in fear, it may not have always looked that way from the outside.
How common is it, Mr. Ferris, for a victim of domestic violence to smile and act happy in the company of the abuser?
Very much so, because they're afraid. They found this least resistance. They're trying to not poke the bear, as we'll say.
Doug didn't verbally abuse her, never physically touched her. He would be angry over how she tried to ruin his life, but the anger never came out in inappropriate ways.
Then the defense calls the one person they believe can convince the jury of Ashley's innocence.
The defense calls Ashley Benefield. How are you feeling this morning, Ashley?
Nervous.
The questioning quickly turning to the night of the shooting.
I ran to try to leave the house. He hit me on the side of the head. He had never actually hit me before.
What did you do?
I ran. Doug was standing in the doorway. His face was red. Like the veins were bulging in his neck. The way he was looking at me, it didn't even look like Doug. His eyes were black. I just held the gun like in front of me and I said, stop. And he like turned and he got into this like a fighting stance. I thought he was gonna kill me.
Somehow, Ashley Benefield found the strength to testify in her own behalf. And I thought she did it extremely well. Judge, I wonder, could we have a minute?
Ashley used a lot of theatrics, a lot of, in my opinion, acting. Looking her in the face, it did not seem genuine to me.
Ma'am, there's Kleenexes here next to you. Those.
Okay, thank you.
Even though she cried hysterically numerous times, there was not one tear.
In her cross-examination, prosecutor Suzanne O'Donnell presses Ashley about that moment she says Doug hit her in the head.
You say he slapped you?
I wouldn't know how to classify it. He struck me, he hit me.
Was his hand open or closed?
I don't remember.
Okay.
In direct examination, she knew the color of his eyes and the way he was acting. And when I asked her, did he hit you with an open hand or a closed hand, she didn't know. Wouldn't you know if someone hit you with a fist versus an open hand?
Judge, if I could have her step down so she can demonstrate.
You may.
I absolutely wanted to get her down off of the stand because she would have been that much closer to the jury.
Okay, so he's standing there. He turns to like this and starts moving his arms around.
Like that.
Well, show me. What was he doing?
Kind of like, I really got like this, and he was like making like fighting motions. I don't know, I'm not a fighter, I don't know.
Okay.
This was the time to show the jury exactly what this person was doing. Why were you so scared? And she just couldn't do it. And I believe that that was because it didn't really happen.
And O'Donnell zeroes in on the physical evidence, arguing that it contradicts Ashley's claims of self-defense.
So I want to talk a little bit about this trajectory.
The fatal bullet went in the side of the chest and almost came out the other side of the back. Her story was he starts to lunge at her. If she then lifted the gun and shot, it would go in his chest and right out his back. It would not go side to side.
Everybody unanimously agreed that the wound path of that projectile was from front to back, left to right. Well, I don't care how much you would like to move front to back to the side, it is still front to back. Ashley's action on that day was absolutely justified. She had the right to stand her ground and use force, including deadly force. For the last several years, I've walked hand in hand with Ashley. I'm now going to surrender her fate to you.
So all of you may now retire to consider your verdict.
Any minute now, Ashley Benefield could learn her fate.
I've played out, I guess, both scenarios in my mind.
6 hours into the deliberations, tensions begin building in the jury room.
And then at approximately 10 o'clock, the jurors sent out a note.
When they came back, I feel a sinking feeling. We were heavy-hearted at that moment.
Are you envisioning what it might be like to hear guilty?
Yeah, I've played out, I guess, both scenarios in my mind. I mean, part of this just doesn't seem real. I keep thinking maybe one day I'll wake up from the nightmare and realize that none of this happened.
Jurors still deliberating after closing arguments.
It's 10 p.m. The jury in Ashley Benefield's case has been deliberating for 6 hours. Then, a message from the foreperson.
Yeah, I've received a note from you. It says, unable to come to unanimous verdict.
Even worse than a not guilty would be a hung jury, because then the family has to go through this again. We just need some finality.
But the judge encourages the jurors to keep deliberating and try to come to a consensus.
We'll be in recess until we get another question or a verdict.
And less than an hour later...
Breaking news, we have a verdict. When I saw that there was a verdict a half an hour later, my heart was in my throat.
We, the jury, find the defendant is guilty of manslaughter, a lesser included offense.
The jury does not find Ashley guilty of second-degree murder. Instead, they convict her of the lesser charge of manslaughter.
We were hopeful for a second-degree murder conviction, but we were very, very satisfied with a manslaughter conviction.
Ashley learns she'll be sentenced at a later date.
The sound was as good as the sight. We're very thankful that she was taken off to jail.
If she hadn't had her gun that night, I know without a shadow of a doubt my daughter would be dead. I am sure of it. Why do they not believe women? Why should women live in fear?
I feel that Ashley was abusing a system that is designed to help people that are victims. Sets everyone back and makes it so much harder for those people that really are victims.
But I'll tell you, the hardest part of that verdict was not in the courtroom. It was when we came back to our office without Ashley. Emerson was there waiting for her mom, but she wouldn't leave right around that elevator. She just stayed there.
This case has always been sad to me because there are children involved that had nothing to do with this. Emerson's without her father and probably going to be without her mother now for a long time. Doug's family got justice. Eva's still without her father.
Today kind of just feels like the first day of the rest of my life.
I hope one day me and Emerson will be able to have a relationship where she can come to me with any questions, and I hope that one day I'll be able to explain how great of a father my dad would have been to her and how great he was for the short amount of time that they got to spend together.
Ashley Benefield is scheduled to be sentenced next month. David, she faces up to 30 years in prison.
And as for Doug and Ashley's 6-year-old daughter, Emerson, she's currently living with Ashley's mother now. That's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
सावण चढ़ी आवे जोर लगाए आवे रुड़ गई रेत निमाणी तू किया रुड़ती वे रेत निमाणी मेरे मुसाफिर पानी तू किया रुड़ती वे रेत निमाणी मेरे मुसाफिर पानी लगदा नेड़े गई जवानी आए बड़े मां कोई नहीं लगदा नेड़े मानी दा कब पानी देना भर भर मशीना दे भर भर मशीना दे मालिक जाना पले निगाना गावे आना गावे मालिक जाना पले निगाना गावे आना